everybody, my name is Naya and I'm the Black female engineer. I provide content for new and aspiring software engineers, and today we're talking about how to cram for a technical interview at a top tech company in 10 days. Something that I very recently had to do and be comfortable with because I had exactly 10 days to cram for a coding interview, and I haven't touched DS or Algos or Leetcode or none of it in 4 years. So when I say 10 days, I'm not saying,
oh, but I've been prepping the last couple of months or weeks, but I really honed down these last 10 days.
No. We're talking beginning to finishing in 10 days. So let's get into it. So the first stage here is gathering information. And the first step for that stage is going on Glassdoor and seeing what other people have said about the technical interview. Bonus points if you can specify what role you're applying for or interviewing for. So for example, software engineer versus backend engineer. Backend engineer is a lot more specific. So if we can see what other people who have interviewed for backend engineer have said about the technical interview experience, that'll be loads better than software engineer. But sometimes we can't always get that specific. So software engineer is fine. See if people have shared the level of the problem they received. For example, Leetcode easy, medium versus hard. That's typically the standard people will base their ranking on is Leetcode. Now keep that tab open and go to Fishbowl. Fishbowl was recently acquired by Glassdoor because it kind of does the same thing, provide a space where people can talk about their experiences, but not just experience getting a job, but also experience at a job or wanting promotions or certain hiring managers at certain companies. But we can niche Fishbowl down to see what people's interview experiences were like. Another great thing about Fishbowl is you can actually directly ask these questions. So you can go into Fishbowl like you would, I don't know, Threads or Twitter, and write an actual post saying, hey, does anyone have experience with so-and-so company for so-and-so job? If so, I would sincerely appreciate you letting me know what type of problems to prepare for. So you can ask a question and also see what other people have said when they have asked a similar question, which someone likely has. Once you have the data from those two steps, make sure you copy and paste the relevant answers into your own separate document where you can keep track of what people said about the technical interview. Adding all those questions into that document is step 3. And now step 4 is get into Leetcode. Now here's where the real work begins. I highly recommend, and this is not sponsored by anybody, but somebody can, you can hit me up. Get Leetcode Premium. I have never had Leetcode Premium until these 10 days where I've had to study like crazy. The specific reason I got Leetcode Premium was so I could study per the company questions that have been reported. So let's say I'm interviewing for, I'll do an easy one, Meta. People will report what questions they were asked during technical interviews, and Leetcode will gather that up and allow you to practice on those questions. This makes studying so much easier because now you don't have to guess what is going to be given to you, and you don't have to just like wish for the best. It's like, no, this is what people have said. Leetcode is saying people have been asked. And it also, when you go to the company specific questions page, will show you how frequently people reported being asked a certain question. So you can even base your practice based off of how likely you are to receive this question at an interview. Well, I guess that's not technically how likely you are to receive the question, but it's more how many people say they received it, which can be interpreted as how likely are you. But you know what I mean? I'm not one to get premium memberships when it comes to professional endeavors of mine. I always feel like there's a free version of what I'm looking for, but when it comes to this, I feel like that just isn't the case. And so that is really why I decided to commit and say, you know what, let me get the premium. Now let me put an asterisk on that tip. Get premium if your company is in that list of available filters, because maybe you're applying to I don't know, Glassdoor. Even though it's a big company that many of us know, it may not be in the list of companies available for Leetcode specific problems. Step 5. Now, once you have those companies available to you, go into that company page and filter not based on frequency asked, but on acceptance. Because again, likely we have not touched Leetcode in a hot minute, or for some reason we need to just jam pack our studying into only a couple of days. And so when you rank based on the number of times people have said they received that problem, you have a high likelihood of the problems being maybe more challenging. And instead, we want to work our way up to those problems. So I suggest ranking based on acceptance. Ranking based on acceptance is ranking in accordance to how many people were able to submit a right answer to that, which can kind of be interpreted not as easier to hardest, because that is a level, but more like just capability, your likelihood of being able to answer this question. That's how I've always interpreted it. And when you rank based on acceptance, you'll see that there is a big correlation between a high acceptance level and it being an easier problem. More on that, remember the document we created? See what level Leetcode problem most people reported having. So for the company I'm interviewing for, everywhere I've seen people have said Leetcode medium, and including the recruiter. The recruiter herself said expect a Leetcode medium. So even while I'm ranking by acceptance, I'm focusing on Leetcode medium. So as I go through the problems and I get better and better at them as the days go by, I don't think I'm really going to switch over to hard, because it doesn't seem like there's a point to it, and we're trying to be as efficient and smart about the study plan as possible. Now, it's okay that you don't know how to solve these problems yet, because step 6 is see how they are solved. Open up a problem, read through it, and see how you yourself, a capable human being, would solve that problem. Not in terms of code or algorithms or anything, just you yourself looking at this problem. So for example, a common problem is sorting an array. Me, myself, if someone came up to me just on the street saying, hey, can you sort this array? I know my process as a human being. I would look at the array, I would look at each number, and I would see, is this number less than or greater than or equal to this other number? And I do that over and over again until I go through the entire list, and then boom, the array is sorted. Now that you have processed how you as a human being would solve this problem, now think about a computer. A computer needs very specific instructions. Write down step by step in your code, but comment it out, what you are doing to process the problem as a human. Then follow that up with, wherever you can, fill it in with code. So for example, with the previous problem of sorting the array, sorting the list, I said, okay, if this number is less than this number, then place it here instead of there. In that statement, I said if, I said less than. Those are some very specific ways to solve problems in programming. There are if statements, there are comparisons, all the works. And so what I'm trying to say is, once you write down how you yourself would solve that problem, see where you can place actual code in place of your pseudocode, because that's what you did. You wrote some pseudocode. When you can't fill in the pseudocode with real code anymore, go look up the answer using ChatGPT or YouTube. And honestly, it's more of an and or YouTube, because I've been using both a lot, because chat is amazing for explaining things, but sometimes I can't visualize the solution. And so that's where I'll go to YouTube to truly get that visualization and someone explaining it to me. When you look up the solution to a problem and it still doesn't make sense for you, now it's time to hone down on what doesn't make sense and learn about it. For example, day one, I didn't understand the solutions that involved recursion. And so I spent the rest of the day learning about recursion, looking up YouTube videos, asking chat to teach me, looking up more practice problems, and also seeing what courses were out there to better explain recursion. I don't recommend buying the courses like I did because they often are very beginner level, though at least that's how the experience has been for me, and we need something way more advanced for what we're trying to do. Once you understand how that solution came about, now you can move on to the next problem. Again, in the first few days, don't focus too much on knowing exactly how to solve it, but now that things are clicking, we can move on a little bit. Something that's going to help so much with this is with step 7, limit memorization. With code, there's all these different methods you can include in your solutions that can help you get to a solution faster. However, although those methods are fantastic, it can make it difficult when you are in a test to know which methods to pull when, and also to simply just remember them and how they operate. Going back to that sorting a list example, there is a method for sorting a list that is simply take the array you're given in JavaScript, take the array you're given, dot sort, parenthesis, as in like open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and then boom, they provide you your sorted array. However, that's now another method we need to memorize. So instead, understand how you can do it without that method being used. Keeping to the basics like this will help you so much when we have just such a tight deadline. Step number 8. When you go through your day of problems and you lay your head down and wake up the next day to do it all over again, pick a problem from the previous day to do again. Because like I said, it's not completely necessary to, in the first few days, make sure you fully know exactly how to solve each and every problem. It's more necessary to understand how and why the solution you found and looked up works and make it understand for your brain, and then moving on. So the way to really now be able to do the problem 10 days from now is by the next day attempting it again. If you still can't get it, that's fine. Choose a different problem from the day before. Do this until you have at least one problem that you were able to completely solve. Because at the end of the 10 days, you'll know that you perfectly solved 10 problems, which is fantastic. For the problems you didn't solve, you likely understood why they were solved and how to solve them and how to think about them, or at least the steps to take, even if you may not remember the specific line-by-line solution. And finally, step number 9, rinse and repeat. Steps 4 through 8 every single day for the next 10 days. And that's how you'll create your lesson plan. The second you don't know how something is implemented, spend however long you need to for that day focusing on it and practicing more problems just like that, and then move on the next day. Okay, everybody, I hope that was very helpful. If it was, please let me know by leaving a like and a comment and subscribing to this channel. And yeah, let me know what other questions y'all have, especially as I go through this job hunt with y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.